somebody is
Are they
now
ready to go?
playing Magic.
Yeah,
we
I got the feature
have
match all set up here, but they've just got to get in there.
I tell you what, Richard, why don't you just kick off with me just for the moment, because we've got Bubba against Shay underway, which we've got there. We can cut very quickly once we get started with Dave Guskin, but might as well give it a little bit of camera time to Bubba. Poor guy, 7 spells, 13 land was his deciding game. He got completely flooded out.
Okay.
And here we see an actual proper action early in the game. We have Juicy Apprentice come out and Shay Hall, who I'm developing a very healthy respect for as a player, runs out the Mana Leak on turn 2 to say, no, there will not be a card drawing engine for you early in this one.
That seems fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, you would, wouldn't you? It seems perfectly
It depends
reasonable.
on how long you think the game's going to go, and, you know, judging that Shay is a blue, black, and sometimes red discard, kind of stop you from doing stuff deck, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, he follows up with a Sinkhole, taking out the blue source of Bubba. Now, he immediately follows it up, but this could be, this is the kind of thing that if there's a very quick, if there's any type of land shortage on Bubba's end, the Sinkhole can really set him back.
You see Ancestral Vision begins to suspend for Bubba over there. But, as promised, let's give you the feature match we said we were going to, and that is James from Loading Ready Run up against Dave Guskin.
All right, so James has gone Mountain Swamp. On end step, though, we saw Dave Guskin Vampiric Tutor. Of course, we don't get to see what card he got, but I'm pretty sure it was Survival of the Fittest because he immediately played it after drawing it. Now, James has played his 3rd land and just passes the turn? He has nothing? Okay. Guskin gets to untap with an active Survival of the Fittest, which is really a great card. He also has his full bug mana base set up now. What are you going to do with it, Dave? There's not a whole lot going on here, as James just has done basically nothing. He's played lands. And I think, yeah, Dave's just going to pass the turn here. He's only got 1 green mana source, so he can use, you know, he can wait, and then on James's turn, he can use the Survival. Now, Knight of Infamy is all that James can muster here. He's clearly just drawn that card. He plays his land and plays Knight of Infamy, and we're going to see Survival of the Fittest, and it's going to get rid of a Juicy Apprentice on his end, and what is he going to get with it? Grizzlebrand goes right into his hand. Now, we know that he can't cast it yet. It's going to be a while till he can. There's a few cards in the cube that can help him at this point, but he's probably just going to pitch it into the graveyard here, and he does. Grizzlebrand hits the bin. What is he going to get back? And does it even matter? Because we could just see Grizzlebrand coming into play right now, depending on what.
Yeah, Dave Guskin has been generating infinite mana through these rounds here with his Palinchron, just basically gaining 1 every circuit kind of thing.
You can do that with Recurring Nightmare, yeah. And he does, in fact, play Exhume. He's going to have Grizzlebrand on turn 4, facing down a lowly Knight of Infamy. Something like an Edict effect is needed very badly for James. He doesn't have the instant speed. He gets to untap those. Something like Liliana the Veil would be sweet here. Even then, Guskin's sitting at 18 life. He's got at least 1 Grizzlebrand activation just sitting there waiting to go. It's going to bring him down to 11, but put him at 11 cards as well and really set him up for the long-term portion of this game. And even then, that's assuming that James can deal with Grizzlebrand here.
Yeah.
He's going to play a Thundermaw Hellkite, which does essentially nothing except for that he does get in some damage this turn. It's going to tap Uncle Grizzlebrand. I guess he's going to get in for 7, bring Guskin down to 11. Well, that is relevant when you have a Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, it's relevant in the sense you just cut off 1 activation of Grizzlebrand, haven't you?
Now, I don't know why he didn't attack with the Knight of Infamy. I think it's just 1 more damage. He probably should have just battled with him there. He does get the Exalted trigger, so it's only 1. But, I mean, putting him to 11 seems pretty relevant here. Again, Grizzlebrand is going to want to attack. It's going to bring him back up to 19. And then he's going to get to draw 1 million cards if he even needs to. Indeed, Grizzlebrand enters the red zone, and I don't think we're going to have much of a game here. It seems like James just doesn't have an answer for Grizzlebrand. He's a pretty tough threat to deal with when you're in red-black. You know, there's some cards that just don't even hit him at all. And we see a Psychotog follow it up. That's not going to do a whole lot in this particular instance, most likely. It does give him another discard outlet, but having Survival of the Fittest is arguably one of the better discard outlets around because you get to replace it with another card. All right, so Dave Guskin on tap, sitting on 19 life with 4 cards in hand. He's facing down a Knight of Infamy, and a Thundermaw Hellkite, kind of also What can James find here to help reset? I mean, Damnation is one of the few things he could get, but then Guskin draws a bunch of cards. This is just not a great position for James to be in. I do expect him to attack here with the Hellkite. That's going to bring Guskin back down to 13. And then it's going to depend on what James does as a follow-up play. Getting Grizzlebrand off the table being, of course, the primary order here.
Order of business, yeah.
Primary order of business. All right, he decides not to attack at all? I mean, we know he's not going to block Grizzlebrand. Now, Wickerbow Elder is going to hit the bin thanks to Survival of the Fittest. And what does Guskin get with his survival? Terastodon.
Terastodon.
Now, he can't cast it currently. He can discard it anytime he wants. Let's see what he has in mind for shenanigans here. If he's got another graveyard recursion spell, you know, any type of reanimation spell is going to get it done for him. He's got the Forest active to pitch it to the Survival, and then he can get it back. Rashad was mentioning Recurring Nightmare. He can do that. That could have been why he set up the Psychotog play here. Well, let's see what he does. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he attacked with Grizzlebrand and then did that play, probably just blowing up a bunch of lands and just riding Grizzlebrand to the victory here. All right, he's going to get in there with the Psychotog, actually, which is kind of an interesting play. He could actually set up lethal here pretty easily with the Psychotog if it goes unblocked. I think James is going to have to block it. If he doesn't have a lot of experience against Psychotog, then he won't. Okay, so James has put Thundermaw Hellkite in front of the Grizzlebrand. That explains why he kept it back to block.
Sure.
He clearly has a burn spell of some sort in his hand to finish off Grizzlebrand, and he is also going to block with the Knight of Infamy here. That's going to force Dave Guskin to use up some amount of resources here, either 2 cards from his graveyard, or he's just going to get rid of the Terastodon to pump up the Psychotog to a 2/3.
Just to let you know that Watsy Shay up against Bubba has been pretty attritional. Liliana of the Veil is in play for Watsy Shay with 2 counters on, but that may be in trouble very soon. He's got an Azumi Short Fang down. Meanwhile, Bubba has Niv Mizzet, the Firemind, the 4/4, and of course that can start dealing damage whenever you draw a card, has the ability to tap and so on. So potentially Liliana of the Veil is in trouble.
We did see the play that we thought we were going to see here. A creature followed up by a Recurring Nightmare. Now, there is an Incinerate on the stack. It's going to finish off Grizzlebrand, although I don't think I would have done that at that moment because now he can just get Grizzlebrand back if he wants. So he wanted to do it while he had Dave Guskin tapped out. The problem here being that Recurring Nightmare is now going to enter the battlefield. He's going to be able to sack the Duraga Tree Speaker, and now he can just get Grizzlebrand back, or if he feels like the Terastodon, it's just really up to Dave Guskin. Return to hand, sack the Tree Speaker, and probably just get Grizzlebrand. Yeah, he just got him right back. He really needed to wait till end step to do that. Then again, Guskin could also just go after all 3 of his mountains if he really wanted to prevent that play from happening, but that's a tough one. James pulled the trigger just a little bit early on that play and opened up the ability for Grizzlebrand to come back. Now, getting a Terastodon might have been just worse for James here. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'd always rather have Grizzlebrand because I'm greedy, but if you look at it, if Terastodon comes back and blows up 3 of Guskin's lands, he's just representing lethal, and James has no board anyway. As it stands, though, I believe that this is better because Grizzlebrand plus Psychotog also represent lethal.
Jackie Lee up on 20, Scott Larabe down at 12. He's got Vidalcan Shackles plus 4 islands, one of which is a Hallowed Fountain. Jackie has Mana War and Phantasmal Bear, and Scott now adds Thran Dynamo to his board. So Jackie Lee ahead early, but with Vidalcan Shackles in existence, things are going to get a little bit sticky in that one.
All right, it looks like James is contemplating his options, but with 4 cards in hand and facing the particular board that he is, You know, even if you put something to get in the way of Psychotog, Grizzlebrand's a 2-turn clock by itself. All right, he's got a 5-drop. He's going to Earthquake for 4. This just seems like a desperation move to me. This should be the game. Ability from Grizzlebrand goes on the stack. Psychotog can get bigger than the 4. It's just going to do 4 damage to James, and then after that, Psychotog plus Grizzlebrand is going to finish off James. So this game is all but over thanks to Psychotog plus Grizzlebrand. I mean, as long as Guskin doesn't run out of actual cards in his library, which it doesn't look like he's about to do, he should be just fine. He's got 17 left. So we see the Earthquake resolve and untap. James is at 9. All he has to do is just discard 1 card of his 16 to Psychotog, and the game will be over.
Yeah, I can tell you that Sam Stoddard is just taking out Conley Woods in the first game of their match. He got down a Sorin Lord of Innistrad and moved on from there to make some tokens, and Conley had his Spectral Procession tokens, but they were not sufficient to get the job done there. So 1-0 to Sam Stoddard in that one. Wrong way go back. Neil is 1-0 up over Lee Sharp right now, and where we're heading right now is Watsy Robert against Smitty. We're just waiting for that to refresh its way up, let you see what's going on in this one, so bear with us a moment as we gear our screen up for you, unless Marshall's got something on his that we can go to.
Over on mine, we're going to see Mike Robles on the top. He has got a Countryside Crusher and an Ankh of Mishra, so he definitely is looking to deal some damage here early to John Laux, who is on 16 life with a Wall of Omens in play and a Morph creature down. Now, John's in an interesting position here because, remember, he's running the 20-card deck. He's got land tax in the thing. He certainly has the ability to drop a bunch of lands, but that Ankh is going to just slowly chip away over and over and over and over.
I love that card so much, Ankh of Mishra.
It's sweet.
It's
a little underrated, I believe, too. All right, so we'll see a new card in the revealed zone over here. It's a Broodmate Dragon. That was revealed because of Countryside Crusher, which actually just revealed the Broodmate. It did not show any lands. But it is going to have a Rancor on it, and he's going to bash in with a 5-3. That's going to get past the Wall of Omens quite nicely, and it's going to set up a nice long game for him where if John doesn't find a way to deal with this Countryside Crusher, it's just going to be lethal. He's going to hit lands eventually.
Yeah.
Pass the turn back. I don't know which morphs John has in his deck, so I'm not sure which morph this could be, although the world is really at his fingertips here because he's got all 5 colors of Magic represented here.
Wizards of the Coast Lee 1 down against Wrong Way Go Back, Neil Talbot from Australia via Hong Kong. Lee has come out pretty quickly, Arbor Elf and Dryad Militant kicking off, but they're very much in the early stages of their second game.
All right, there have been some cards entering the revealed zone here. It looks like a mountain and a Mox Diamond, so he's going to pick up a +1/+1 counter thanks to that mountain. Now the Countryside Crusher is even bigger. Also, you know, if he plays a fetch land, Countryside Crusher only cares that a land goes to the graveyard here. It doesn't matter where it came from. So we'll see if Robles maybe even has a fetch land of some sort or a way to destroy some lands. He does not. He's going to bash in there.
Yeah, I mean, John's down to 9 already.
Yeah.
He's got problems here.
Now, he can double block.
And
he's going to just jump both of them in front.
Of course.
It's going to deal 5. So the question is...
Yeah, he triple blocks because then he'll take no trample, hopefully.
He won't take any trample. That's good. And then so the question is, does Robles have a combat trick or a removal spell that he can use to make this a true blowout?
Yeah, to essentially end the game, because if there is a trick here, there's almost no way John can come back.
I mean, he's going to need to find a Wrath of some sort. The trample is being really important here. One of John's best cards that we've seen is that he also has a Martial Coup in his deck, and he has been using that to great effect. What a powerful card it is, too.
Oh, for sure. Lee Sharp is monstering his way through Neil Talbot right now. He's added Thrum, the last troll, to his board. And although Neil is trying to come back into it, he's down to 13 and facing a lot of pressure here in Game 2.
All right, so the blocks are still on here, and it looks like Robles is deep in the tank here. He probably has a few people around watching him, figuring out what could possibly happen here. Any removal spell really will do it, though. Taking out the Porcelain Legionnaire or even the Morph ought to do it, although first strike damage has gone on, and the trades happen. So Mike Robas perhaps getting a little bit impatient there actually allows that trade to happen. I think if he just sits there with his Countryside Crusher, it's going to get big enough eventually so that he doesn't care what John Laux has. We do see that John's morph here was Bane of the Living, one of the better morphs around. I have a lot of respect for that card.
Yep.
And John immediately follows up with a Cloud Goat Ranger to start getting some pressure.
And chums. There's the Cloud Goat Ranger.
That is correct. I feel like
And
there
chums.
should be like a little jingle whenever you say that.
Cloud Goat Ranger and chums. I can't sing. I'm not allowed to sing. It's not. No, stop. You nearly got me fired.
I almost did. Now there's 6 power on the board for John Laux. It's a 3-turn clock against a potentially mana-screwed Mike Robles here. And remember, that Ankh of Mishra affects both players. So
yes. I'm really looking forward to laying more land now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mike is sorely regretting giving up that Countryside Crusher. He really had the game in a stranglehold. He just needed to be patient and wait for a few more lands to go and keep ahead of John's curve, and he could just kill him. But now all of a sudden he's given that up, and he's facing down 6 power and toughness. He's gotten John Laux all the way down to 7 life, but currently he's going to be joining him pretty quickly if he doesn't do anything. He's going to play a Grafted War Gear into an empty board and ship the turn back?
Wow. John Laux coming right back into this one.
John is storming back into this. He doesn't need to play any spells for the rest of the game currently, especially lands. He just doesn't need to bother. The Grafted War Gear, let's take a look at that one. Underrated card. It costs 0 to equip and makes something just massive. But when it gets unequipped, the permanent gets sacrificed. So if there's any type of interaction with that, he could lose out. But instead, we're just going to see Cloud Goat Ranger bash in with everything. So that's going to bring Robles down to 10. He's virtually sitting at 8 if he wants to play any lands for this game.
Yeah, you've got to say this one looks over.
It kind of is looking that way. I mean, he can put up something, but remember the Cloud Goat Ranger can just get +2, +0 and flying if he wants to tap down the 3 Kithkin soldiers. And that's going to fly over a lot of the things that Robles is going to be able to do. Now, if he can kill the Cloud Goat Ranger, that would help stem the bleeding a bit. But even then, you got to figure that Robles is going to need to make land drops at some point here.
You say stem the bleeding. Neil Wrong Way Go Back has cast Parallax Wave with 5 counters on, of course, and he will need almost all of them to stay alive against Lee Sharp, who is still up on 20, because there's Thrum the Last Troll, there's Genesis, there's Arbor Elf, there's Palladium Mere, there's Dryad Militant on Lee's side of the board. Of course,
that
he
sounds
can't.
kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, Lee is virtually done here. And in fact, Neil has just removed all 5 counters in one go, and everything's come back. Is pretty much what's happened there. So Lee is just about to equalize over Neil. That will soon be 1-1.
All right, now back in the action here, we did see John make a land drop, dropping himself to 5. It seemed like a risky play at the time, but what ended up happening was Elspeth Terrell came down, and he actually used her +2 ability where he gained life. You gain 1 life for each creature you control, so he gained himself 5 life, put himself right back up to 10, and he still has a pretty nice situation here where he can make 3 more tokens. And again, he just isn't forced to commit anything to the board. All Robles could muster on his turn was a paltry Aether Vial. It's on 0, of course, and it just doesn't look like it's going to do enough. If he had a 2-drop, he could cast it. All right, John's going to go into combat here. Looks like he's lining up the Cloud Goat Ranger and his 3 friends to bash. He is indeed. He still has an Elspeth Terrell activation in his pocket here. He's probably just going to use it to make 3 tokens. They're super hard to deal with. Getting 10, I don't think he's in any danger of being at the life total he's at down to 10, but he is just going to play it safe since he does have lethal anyway. I don't know if I love this play. If the Cloud Goat Ranger dies, then it's going to be yet another turn, and I'd probably rather just not have my opponent have any option at all. That said, it's not like Robles can play any lands by just attacking in this situation and leaving it how it is. John's at 14. There's just really no way that he can lose. And it looks like he's got this game in a hammerlock.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's even going to play something else this turn. Hey. He's going to play Simic Sky Swallower. All right. Well, if you're going to do that anyway, then I sure... So he had that plan. He didn't need the tokens to act as extra win conditions when he had the massive 7-drop, 6/6 flying, trample, and shroud.
Okay, well, in Shay against Bubba, they are early in their second game, and everything's been dying. That's the gist of it so far. We've
How's
had
Bubba doing?
Well, Bubba's doing okay. They're just basically at land apiece. I mean, really, everything's been dying.
Oh.
Nizumi Shortfang died. Liliana of the Vale for Watsy Shay died. Arc Trail, Devil's Play, Juicy Apprentice gone for Bubba. He is just managing to resolve what looked like a turn 1 suspended Ancestral Vision. So he is now ahead on cards 6-4. But they're still ploughing away in there. So if we want to head across, there you see an extremely empty board. And we've got what? No, literally everything's in the graveyard. As we now see Shay Hall cast Vendilion Click from the Watsy side. One imagines he will want to take a look at Bubba's hand here of 5 cards. And you can, of course, target yourself. And it looks like he may... Yep, he's looking at Bubba's hand. So he takes a look. We'll have a 3-1 flyer onto the battlefield with life totals at 18-19. So John Louts over Mike Robles 2-0. That's the first win for the community here in this round. Then we have 2-0 to Doos of the Watsy team over Wilm Heath. So that's sort of squared that up at 1-1.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
What are you looking at?
All right, so I'm looking at Scott Larabe, and he is bashing Jackie Lee with an Ulamog, and it looks like Jackie has no permanence and no longer a life total.
Okay.
Well. So it looks like Scott has won his game there.
So that's the opening game to him. 1-1 as anticipated. Wrong way go back against Lee right now. And here we continue to wait for Shay to finish looking at Bubba's hand. Maybe he's asking for some advice from around the Watsy team. Although he's, as I say, he's done very well over the past couple of days. Shay, the only member of the Watsy team who's actually played in multiple formats. Just to remind you that tomorrow we come back for the stretch run. 3 rounds of Return to Ravnica sealed. No gimmicks, just straight up magic. The way many of you have played it at home, it is a very good Wizards of the Coast team. They include Dave Humphries from the Hall of Fame, Eric Lauer, Pro Tour winning deck builder. Bill Stark is in that team. Michael DiPetrello, Dave Marcy is no mug. Jennifer Mayen is in that team. Sean Mayen and your good friend Ryan Spain. That is a very strong Watsy squad. So
indeed.
The community need to keep on winning here in the last round of day 2.
They're really looking to close the gap here down the stretch as much as possible.
Yeah. So in comes Shay with his Vendilion Click. That will send Bubba to 16. Niv Mizzet, the Firemind, you see, went away. Continues to...
Those guys have keeping permanence on the table issues.
They really did. Well, him to Turak got rid of Into the Royal and Niv Mizzet. Now here's Frost Titan from Robert, and Force Spike that.
Oh,
unless
man.
you pay 1, it's not happening.
Whenever you get the Force Spike for that much value, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, so far there are 12 cards in the graveyard, 11 cards of land, basic land, in play, and 1 Vendilion Click. That's all there is, as Bubba falls to 13. And now Shay will add to his board, presumably, as he taps 2 mana, 1 blue, 1 black, with...
Oh, man, I just tuned back into the Dave Guskin versus James match, and Guskin was sitting at 2 life.
Right.
With James at 17, 16, and then we just saw Terrastodon and Grizzlebrand enter the red zone and finish off James in 1 massive hit. So it looks like Guskin has won his match versus James.
Okay. What's happening with this 2 mana for Watsy Shay? Let's see if we can find something else to go to, because not a lot's going on here for Shay against Bubba.
All right, I'm looking. Okay, I have the Smitty match all queued up here. It's
okay. Let's
Robert
take that.
Smitty.
Yep.
Yeah, we will notice here that Smitty is on a 60 card deck. We're in the middle part of the game here. Although what happened here? There are no lands on the table.
Anything in the exiled zone? No, doesn't look like it. Geisterson Trap, Maelstrom Pulse? No. I would imagine that is not the whole board you're looking at.
I think this is not the whole board.
This is waiting to refresh fully through. you probably need to come out of there and head somewhere else. Oh, well, I tell you what, if you want to come back to Shay's match, something's actually happened. Because here you have Animate Dead, which has a lot of text on it, but the gist of it is, I've got your Frost Titan. Thanks so much. And so, Bubba has laid Maze of Ith. Beautiful alternate art. I love that Maze of Ith. Untap target attacking creature, all the combat damage from it gets prevented. So that is an answer of sorts to the fact that Animate Dead has brought out Frost Titan. It loses 1 power, so it's 5/6 now. Stupor next up from Shay. That will get rid of Bubba's last card. He only has 1. It was a mountain. So Shay with 2 cards, an animated Frost Titan. But even though it comes in, so this is going to be, I'm going to choose the Maze of Ith, and the Maze of Ith will presumably respond by saying, go away, Frost Titan. That's exactly what's going to happen.
It looks like Sam Stoddard was successful in beating Conley Woods.
Yeah, 2-0 to Sam over Conley.
Quite a few results coming in here right now. Checking out Scott Larabe versus Jackie Lee. I'll give you an update on that one in just a minute.
Okay. Meanwhile, this ability from Frost Titan means that this time the Maze of Ith will get tapped down and stay that way. So now Bubba is down to 6 and in a world of trouble. Just no cards in hand. 3 cards for Shay. He's got 5 mana open. Bubba needs answers because Maze of Ith is no longer that answer. The Frost Titan now has it locked down tight because every time the Frost Titan attacks, it gets to keep that Maze of Ith tapped down. So Bubba at 6. He does have 1 extra turn because Animate Dead gives that -1/-0. Frost Titan as a 5/6 will untap 4 cards now for Watsy Shay. In comes the Frost Titan. And again, the Maze of Ith will get tapped down. So back we go. Here comes Bubba. He's at 1. Does he have any answer with his 2 cards? Well, he has something. Let's see what the something is. Sower of Temptation. I would like my own Frost Titan back, please. I'm not sure Shay's going to let that happen. Essence Scatter. Counter your Sower of Temptation. And that's game to Watsy Shay. Shay Hall wins that one.
All right, so back on my side, we've got Scott Larrabee on the top. He just had a pretty neat little play. So on end step, he uses his Rishadan port here to tap down an island. Then on his first main phase, he used it again to tap down another island, went to his second main phase, went through combat so that there was no mana left in Jackie Lee's mana pool, and then resolved his Grim Monolith through just 1 Talaria West. So he's playing very carefully, and he's slowly building up a massive mana base here. He looks like he's got 6 mana already, 7 mana already. And he's definitely concerned about Jackie having counter spells, though. You can tell that Scott is very aware of such things.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's always someone in the game of Commander who's running around with the occasional counterspell, and it's just something that you're constantly aware of which person it is who's likely to be doing that to you. And
now, and interesting, because we have such a fight here that, so Jackie's on 3 lands, and she has just passed the turn back with 8 cards in hand. She had to discard Tidings, which really does indicate that she's very likely to have that counterspell in her hand at this point.
Yeah.
Now, I assume that Scott is going to now try to play around any possible counterspells. He can wait till next turn by doing his port play again, especially if he keeps hitting his lands. But for now, yeah, he's content with just developing his mana base. He's going to cycle. He's going to cycle Eternal Dragon to go get a Hallowed Fountain, put it in play tapped, and I think he's just going to ship the turn back and use Rishadan Port on Jackie's upkeep. All right, he does pass the turn back, and it is an upkeep stop, and we do see the port activation. So he is doing a great job of keeping Jackie Lee off of her mana, and if she doesn't draw a land here, he can really set up a sweet play because he can resolve like basically any creature he wants through 1 blue mana. I don't think that he's going to worry about Force Spike, and even if he does, he probably has enough mana to play around it anyway. So Jackie is thinking. It does not look like she is going to hit this land drop. I think she's just going to ship the turn and have to discard again here. She is indeed.
Yeah, that's...
So she discards Kega the Tide Star, and she ships a turn back with 2 mana up. So right now, if Scott wants, he can... He goes to his main. He decided not to bring back the Eternal Dragon. He can tap down and have 3, 4, 5. He can have 6 mana up against Jackie Lee's 1.
Yeah, that's not fair.
It depends on what he has in his hand. He does have the full 7 cards. Bit of a greed check here as well. You know, he can decide to maybe cast something a little too big. He's going to activate the Rishadan Port again. He's going to tap down the other island. He's going to skip through to his second main phase. And we're going to see what he has in mind here. 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. It could be many things in his deck, and most of them are very powerful.
Got a pretty interesting one going on between Watsy Robert and Smitty right now. That's a decent game. Smitty had a Grave Titan out. That's gone away, but a couple of zombies still remain. Jiraga Tree Speaker is cranking up its counters in that. Meanwhile, Watsy Robert has every land ever seen in the history of the game, and now a Scavenging Ooze.
It does look like that, by the way.
Which turns out, yeah, it's like a who's who of land.
Favorite flavor of Duel? He's got one of each. Now, we saw Scott Larabe, not to interrupt you here, Rich, but
go ahead.
What he was trying to resolve was a Gilded Lotus. So, again, his colors and his amount of mana just keep expanding. Now, Jackie finally hit her 4th land drop. It was a mountain, and she feels comfortable to play an Enclave Cryptologist here. I don't think she's going to level it up, though, because she still wants to represent at least that Dissipate or something.
Yeah. So Neil Talbot wins over Wizards of the Coast Lee Sharp. So that's 1 for the community. Ryan Deuce 2-0 over Heath Newton. 1-1 between Smitty and Watsy Robert. That's the match I'm currently watching. Dave Guskin over James Loading Ready Run. John Laux over Michael Robles 2-0. Scott Larrabee ahead of Jackie Lee, and Lee, as you can see on your screen, in trouble. Conley Woods battered by Sam Stoddard. Conley's already tweeted, what am I going to do with all instants and sorceries against Planeswalkers, Luminarch Ascension, all sorts of impossible to deal with stuff. And Bubba and Shay tied at 1.
All right, so this is a big turn for Scott. He gets to untap with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana.
Come to my monitor, please, right now. You are looking
what is going on?
Genesis Wave for 10.
Oh, wow. You can scroll over. There's more.
You can. Look over here. Here, look, even more. There's a Sheldred, and a Terastodon, and a Throat Slitter, and a Mere Battlesphere, and a Wall of Roots, and an Ultimate Prize.
So the Ultimate Prize is the only thing that's not coming to fruition
so
here.
Look, that's what happens. You reveal the top X cards. It's 10 on this occasion. Put any number of permanent cards with cost X or less, that's bracket 10, and then put all cards revealed this way you didn't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard. There was a huge cheer there, and I'm pretty certain that that is what you have just
and you can
been
see
hearing.
Him start to pick each of the cards.
This one, 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 this one.
Now
oh boy!
Battlesphere abilities. We have Terastodon.
So here's the thing. That's all happening for Smitty right now. Robert, meanwhile, has a 2/2 Scavenging Ooze. It's that time again, Marshall, where we examine your knowledge of game states and pick a winner for us.
I need to know something first. How many cards does Robert have in his hand?
None.
Okay, then I'm going to pick Smitty.
Yeah, very good. Yes. Hope your monitor at home is enough to cope with all this red hot Genesis Wave action.
That is a ton. Look at that. He blew up his own lands as well. So
I've got these three guys over here.
All right, now I do see mana being tapped here. What is going on over there?
Go on, wrath them all away.
Oh, he's just scavenging, using a bunch.
That's a bit unexciting. I hope it isn't just that.
Enough.
The draft rules for these two. By the way, Neil Talbot's just come by.
Smitty was the 60-card deck, so he's on the bottom with his 60-card awesome deck.
Yeah, and then Robert was End of the Rainbow, 5 colors, everything's lovely.
That explains the lovely collection of dual lands.
Indeed, because every time he could pick one, he just basically did. Yeah. Robert's at 15 with 1 card in hand. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, because that's what Shouldered does during your upkeep. Each opponent's upkeep, they sacrifice a creature. Yes, okay, not even remotely funny anymore, this one.
Yeah, now Smitty, this is a game 3, so there's no reason for either player to concede, and he's just going to, look at this. Look at that.
In.
Yeah, look, there's more coming from off the screen.
Yeah, there we go. Look, there they are. Go on, zombies, you attack too.
He's actually going to just use the ability.
On the mere battlefield.
Yeah. Does make more damage.
Yeah, I hope he remembers to gain a life from Pristine Talisman before Robert dies. Yeah, it's just like, wait. Lethal damage on the stack.
With your death on the stack.
With your death on the stack, I'd like to use Tumble Magnet to tap my own Pristine Talisman and respond.
With that on the stack, yeah.
I'd like to respond. I'd like to gain one life.
Control click it, as we say.
Yeah. That is savage magic. I suppose if you're going to lose, you might as well lose memorably, and a Genesis Wave for 10 is kind of right up there.
Especially with what he happened to hit. Remember, that was the 60-card deck.
Sure.
That one had a lot more things to miss on, and he hit like 3 huge spells, and they're all permanents as well. So fantastic stuff there from Smitty. I'm keeping an eye on the Scott Larabe versus Jackie Lee match, and things have gotten about the same.
Okay.
So there's an Enclave Cryptologist that can be stolen by a Vidalcan Shackles. Scott has been very methodical. He has eventually hit this Calciderm. There's a miscalculation that got cycled, and the Calciderm is now going to represent a very neat little clock here. All right, so Calciderm loses a time counter, and he did in fact steal the Enclave Cryptologist. Now, Scott is still sitting at a very healthy 6 life total. He can also get that Eternal Dragon back during his upkeep whenever he feels like it to put up a nice 5/5 flyer as a threat, and he's looking really good. Now, Jackie is conspicuously sitting on 7 cards and still just the 5 mana. She's got 4 untapped right now, but she's got to be in a pretty bad spot. The Calciderm has Shroud. Now there's a Batterskull that's going to come down. It's probably going to get equipped up to the Calciderm if it resolves. Yeah, okay, right. Calciderm has Shroud, not hexproof, so actually he can't equip it at all. But it will be another creature. It's going to get negated here, and there shouldn't be much that Larabe can do, or maybe I spoke too soon. He is tapping mana. He's got Dismiss and Cryptic Command. So he kind of has the mini Cryptic Command with Dismiss, but there's a Remand in Jackie's hand that is going to make sure that negate actually happens. Now, that said, it's not all good news for Jackie because Scott still has the Dismiss. All right, battle for 5. He's going to attack with Enclave Cryptologist. I don't know if that's style points or just be in a bit of a hurry because his clock is at 4.5 minutes, so he needs to make sure that he can get in there. But yeah, fighting with the Enclave Cryptologist maybe not the best play there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that if it goes to 1-1, Scott's in big trouble. So he has to just size this out as a straight 2-0 win. And this is getting pretty important because it's 3-3 in this round, and the 2 remaining matches are the one you're watching right now with Jackie Lee and Scott Larabe, with Scott 1-0 up, and then Bubba up against Shay, and that is 1-1, where they are kind of even, and Bubba's battling away. He was at 15 life, Shay's down to 10, but Shay has just cast Control Magic to steal an Enclave Cryptologist, and Phyrexian Crusader is busy poisoning Bubba out. Bubba is up to 6 poison in that one, and he has no cards in hand. He is desperately trying to tick down his Ancestral Vision to get himself back in the game.
Man, community team could really use these last 2 wins as well. You know, you mentioned getting a 5-3 out of the deal, and that's what it would be.
Yeah, and even a 4-4 is fine.
Yes,
but 3-5 and letting WotC, if you like, reverse out of the slump and come back tomorrow with a healthy lead, not what you want. These are big, big matches here.
All right, so we're still watching Scott Larabe on the top. It looks like he's tapping about 10 million mana, a.k.a. 11 mana. Now, this was left open by the fact that Jackie had to tap out for her Lone Revenant to hit the battlefield here. Yeah. And we see... an island get destroyed by Ulamog. Now that trigger happens whether he resolves or not, and he does in fact enter the battlefield. Now,
Oh dear.
Jackie does have ways to deal with it in a sense. Why does he keep attacking with the Enclave Cryptologist? He's only got 1 mana up, so there's no way he could have like a Ninja of the Deep Hours or something. I don't know why you would do that. Looks like Jackie's maybe he just wants it dead so he can steal something else. He's only got 2 islands, so he's not gonna be able to take the Lone Revenant, which has hexproof anyway. I'm not really sure why he's attacking with it. She decided not to kill it, so I guess there's something to it. We'll have to ask him after if I get a chance to.
Big moments in the Community Cup here. Bubba is at 8 poison. He's got an empty board. He's facing down a Phyrexian Crusader. Plus Control Magic, his own Enclave Cryptologist. Gatekeeper of Malakir. He is in big, big trouble right now. And you've got to say the same for Jackie Lee.
Yeah, Jackie is way up against it here. This Ulamog is going to wipe out almost her entire board if it gets a chance to actually attack. So she's going to need a way to get rid of... Oh, she has Treachery for Ulamog. She's going to get to untap all her lands and potentially protect it. Now, this does not give Ulamog haste, so she's not going to be able to attack here, but she can attack with the Lone Revenant. She's going to get a free impulse off of it if she wants, and if she can stay alive long enough, Ulamog can actually get her back in this game.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, no, did she miss the trigger to untap her lands? Ooh, that could be really, really bad for Jackie. So the way it works is you have to click the lands that you want to untap, and she might have just clicked through it. I'm not sure, but her lands are definitely tapped. And Treachery, you get to untap up to 5 lands, and she's only got 5. Having Counterspell backup to protect her Ulamog would have been huge. Now something like Karn can come down, take care of the Treachery, get Ulamog back, and swing everything back, where if she had a Counterspell in her hand, she could protect it.
Oh, boy.
Oh, this is huge. Scott Larabe sitting on 6 cards. Does he have a way to get rid of that Treachery or to get Ulamog either back to his hand or bounced or something? All right, he's tapping mana. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
What?
Now remember, Ulamog is indestructible. He's ticking down here, and it is Karn liberated. Oh, if Jackie had a Counterspell in her hand, she's got to be cringing here. Karn is going to be -3 to take care of the Treachery, and Ulamog is going to come back on the side that he started. Jackie's also going to take 5 damage out of this transaction and be virtually dead to the Crackback. Now, the Calciderm only has 1 more turn left before it's dead. 1. Okay, so when you remove that counter, it dies. This is not the same thing as a fading counter where when you can't remove a counter. Okay. So that Calciderm is no longer alive. So Jackie could actually live 1 more turn past Ulamog because she can sack 4 lands and block with the Revenant, but things are looking horrific for her here as Karn is going to pretty much finish things off here.
Carnage, in fact.
Carnage indeed, with a K in this case.
With a capital K.
Yeah. I love Karn Liberated as a card, and this is one of the reasons why is that, Scott's deck isn't necessarily well equipped to deal with different types of permanents because he has to put so many slots towards ramp spells and that kind of thing, and boom, Karn can just come up and clean up whatever you need him to.
Bubba is still fighting on 8 poison. The Phyrexian Crusader is still on the other side of the table, meaning that if Fathom Seer gets taken out, then Phyrexian Crusader will kill Bubba, who is at 15 life but 8 poison.
All right, Jackie is tapping lands. She has Into the Roiled Ulamog. Now, what that means is, let's see, that Scott has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's only got 10. He's going to need to hit a land drop in order to recast Ulamog, and even then it won't be able to attack right away. And Scott's on 2 minutes and 35 seconds here.
Oh, wow.
So Jackie is clearly playing
fighting
the
away.
Game. She attacks with Lone Revenant. It gets blocked by Enclave Cryptologist. Scott forgets to or didn't untap his Vidalcan Shackles. Probably won't be super relevant, but it might, depending on what else Jackie has. Jackie is sitting there, though, with 3 mana untapped, conveniently in the configuration of Dissipate.
Wow. Okay.
Jackie
Scott Larabe.
is fighting.
Yeah. Big moments here in the Community Cup. It sets it up for tomorrow. Can Scott Larabe pull this one out in the next 2 minutes and 12 seconds?
All right. So what Scott's going to do is he's going to exile target permanent. In this case, it's an island.
Yeah.
But what this means is that he will not have enough mana, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, unless he hits a land to be able to recast Ulamog. And even then, she could have a different counterspell.
And Jackie's trying to decide what to do with that 1 mana, if anything. They're ticking down.
She's going to opt.
Okay.
She's going to use the mana to look at the top card of her library. She can put it on the bottom if she wants. Let's see if she did. She puts it back on top, and then she draws it. So she wanted that card.
Is that right? I thought that said she'd put it on the bottom. Sorry.
No, let me double check. Puts a card.
Puts their top card on the bottom.
Puts the top card on the bottom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rich.
You're
okay,
welcome.
So
Just
she
checking.
got rid of it. So she drew something random. And
Yosei.
Now Yosei comes down. Yosei represents lethal damage here.
Yeah.
If left unchecked. So she is going to need to find a way to bounce Yosei, to get him out of the way. Maybe she bluffs an attack with the Lone Revenant. There's not a lot that she can represent here, but she can certainly try. It looks like the Grim Monolith is going to be untapped and ready for action as we come back to Scott's turn. This is going to be a huge turn. Now, Scott's under 2 minutes, but believe me, Rich, that's plenty of time.
Yeah, you can certainly turn Yosei sideways if there's no answer from Jackie.
That's right. He even has enough time to, take the next turn to cast Ulamog and continue. All right, 2, 3. Mana War. It's going to return Yosei to its owner's hand. She's going to get in for 4 damage and get an impulse here. I think he's just going to untap his Monolith here.
Dismiss.
Oh, he has Dismiss in his hand. I had forgotten about that. Wow. Remember, the Dismiss was remanded earlier this turn?
Yep. So now here's Preordain, scry 2, then draw a card.
I don't think Unsummon's in this cube.
No.
I don't think Jackie has a chance here against Yosei. I think Yosei is going to finish off. 1 minute, 43 seconds.
He has
Scott,
enough.
But that's plenty of time. Pass the turn.
Okay.
And I think that's the game. I can't think of a card in the cube that
it's like
helps
Slaughter
Jackie
Pact, and then she's got nowhere to pay for it.
There is Dismember.
Okay, so she could pay 4 life.
Yes, and go to 1.
Of a Dismember, but there are no blockers to be declared.
This is the last chance she has to cast a spell.
Oh, is it over?
I had totally forgotten about that Dismiss.
The game is over. Let's take you to the final match of the day. And this is Shay. He's on 9 against Bubba, who's been on 15 forever. That Phyrexian Crusader you see here has been stolen by Bubba with Sower of Temptation. So now it's his own, as it were, Phyrexian Crusader up against Kira, Great Glass Spinner, the 2/2 flyer, and then Gatekeeper of Malakir that long ago did its thing by kicking to make Bubba sacrifice a creature. You see this utterly enormous graveyard on the left of your screen. That is Bubba's graveyard. He is down to 10 cards in his library. Shay at 14. And now we see Sword of Body and Mind. On it goes.
Yeah, Shay is the Griefer deck, so his deck had to have counterspells, land destruction, or discard.
And Bubba was all about quick draw, so anything that said draw a card.
That's right.
Pretty much. Where possible. So he's got Sword of Body and Mind, protection from green and from blue. That's part of Shay's deck. Shay is down to 5. Bubba has had an incredible rearguard action in this one. He's been at 8 poison with only 1 creature back. That Fathom Seer on the left there. For something like 4 or 5 turns, while Shay couldn't find a way to get this Phyrexian Crusader through, Bubba then stole it with Sower of Temptation, now has Sword of Body and Mind equipped. So Kira, Great Glass Spinner will come in. We have a morph here. That may be Shay's last hope to steal this victory.
Wow.
Bubba at 13. And we go back to Bubba. It's turn 17. You see both players deep into their last 5 minutes of gaming action here. This is the last match of the Community Cup Day 2. In we go. Any blockers? No. What's he Shay?
And he
down
milled
to
him
1.
to 0.
Yeah, so he's got
So if he
no
misses his
card.
turn, then the
There you
game's
go.
over, and Bubba pulls
Wow.
that out. Well, you know, I took a glance over at your screen while you were watching, and I didn't think Bubba was
High
gonna even
five
be
for
in
Bubba.
there.
Yeah, that
Wow,
is a
good for Bubba.
terrific rearguard action by Bubba. I have no idea how he pulled that one out.